Breaking Redskins news on WTOP. Good afternoon. I'm Dimitri Sotis. We have George Wallace, our sports director, our Skins beat reporter, and Chris Cheon of WTOP Sports. Georgie, the Skins are making all kinds of history here with this move for quarterback Kirk Cousins. Dare I say, franchise quarterback Kirk Cousins. They placed the exclusive franchise tag on him. He received the non-exclusive tag last year. This is the first time in history a team has used the franchise tag twice on the same quarterback. So they're breaking ground, but what else are they doing?
Well, you know, it's basically now giving the Redskins a little bit of control, Dimitri, because the exclusive tag means that Cousins is not allowed to go out and negotiate with other teams right now. So the non-exclusive tag, which he had last year, he was able to go out and negotiate with other teams, maybe solicit an offer sheet, and, you know, Redskins had the choice to either match that offer or receive compensation, 2 first-round picks if they were to lose Cousins. But now the exclusive tag means that the Redskins control that. He's going to sign the tender, which he says he's going to do. This year is going to be guaranteed $24 million as soon as he signs that tender. And the Redskins most likely now are not going to trade him, which brings into question, does that mean now that they all of a sudden, or maybe not all of a sudden, but that they have an intention of signing him long-term? Because if they did not have an intention of signing him long-term and you tag him this way this year, next year you can either tag him for $34 million, or he walks away. And I just can't have it hard to believe that if they weren't going to sign him, they would just let him walk after this year without receiving anything.
Yeah. Chris, can they come to some kind of terms, a long-term deal before the deadline, which I believe is mid-July? George?
July 15th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why they couldn't, but I almost think at this point you've kind of botched financially taking care of Kirk Cousins and deciding whether or not he's going to be your franchise quarterback here. So we'll kind of see. But I saw an interesting tweet from somebody from NFL Network who said that paying Kirk Cousins $24 million is akin to paying $11 for an airport beer. You don't want to do it, but you don't have a choice. And the Redskins didn't have a choice as far as bringing him back for at least this year. With the emergence of the Dallas Cowboys this past year and their offensive line, they're not going anywhere. They have a young core. Philadelphia is only going to continue to get more acquainted with this system that Peterson's been running up there, and Carson Wentz coming into his own, and the New York Giants, who were a playoff team this past year. Redskins, if you don't bring him, what are you going to have, scour the waiver wire and try to pick up?
No, they were going to go with Colt McCoy.
Yeah, well,
that's exactly what was going to happen.
And that's nothing sexy about that. Nothing is formidable in terms of an offense with Colt McCoy, in my opinion. You brought back Kirk, who did, everything is kind of fresh in our minds, that Giants game. Dimitri, you and I were there. We saw Kirk Cousins really not look great mechanically and really not play well, and was a reason why the Redskins, not one of the reasons, but a reason why the Redskins didn't make the playoffs. But still, he was 7th best in the league in terms of passer rating last year, 97.2, and Pro Football Focus graded him as the 8th best quarterback in the league. So maybe, they need to get a long-term deal done. What quarterback, we've said a million times, George, is worth these mammoth deals? If your name's not Rodgers or Brady or Matt Ryan, you don't probably deserve it. But hey, that's what the position pays.
Here's the thing, though: if they find out now, let's say that Cousins does not want to be here and sign a long-term deal, then you need to trade him before and get something for him, or he's just going to walk away after giving him $44 million guaranteed for the last 2 years. Now, money for Kirk may not be an issue. I mean, he's a guy, like I said before, he drives a conversion van. I mean, he's still got it. He's still got it. So $44 million for him, I mean, that's a lot of money for 2 years. And who knows? He may just say, you know what? I want to go to San Francisco with Kyle. I want to see what else is out there. And maybe test the market for the first time in my career next year. Because now at that point, he's got the leverage. If he doesn't want to be here, he's got the leverage, or the Redskins are either going to make $34 million next year, or he's going to walk and get his own deal. That's why the non-exclusive tag would have given the Skins a chance to see maybe what his market value is. If he had gone out there and try and get a long-term deal from somebody, and then the Redskins would have to decide whether or not they want to match it or get 2 first-round picks. But maybe they knew nobody was going to give up 2 first-round picks for him.
Last question about the fans. If you're a Skins fan, is this a happy day or a sad one? Because it could be the goodbye tag rather than the franchise tag after one more season.
That's a good way to put it.
I would say this is a happy day, because at the end of the day, I will keep pointing back to the final 4 teams of the NFL playoffs last year. They all have elite quarterbacks, and I'm not calling Kirk Cousins elite, but he's a lot better than what you would do if you tried to decide to throw in a second-round draft pick this year and say, hey, throw you to the fire. You're going to learn as we go here, week one, you're starting, or to get a journeyman or Colt McCoy. So, again, maybe the dollars and cents might be a little bit much. You're overpaying, but you have a quarterback who's been familiar playing under head coach Jay Gruden, familiar with the wide receivers. Now, that'll come back to the fact that what are they going to do as far as Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson? So that remains to be seen. I'll feel a little bit better as a fan once I know if those weapons are coming back or not.
So as a fan, the fact that they completely botched this last year, and you're going to give up $44 million and then maybe sign them to a long-term deal, you're fine with that, the way they handle that?
Well, if they decide that they need to, increase their ticket prices and parking and hot dog at the stadium, yes, that would affect me as a fan. But if it means that the quarterback's coming back who's led you to back-to-back seasons where you're not in the tank like you've been 10 years ago, that's kind of, in my opinion, better than nothing. And
here's the other big question, though, guys, is the fact that, Cousins has a lot to think about long-term as well. Whether or not, okay, this year, fine, but they'll see what direction they're going to go with the receivers. But then you have Jay Gruden's deal. I mean, Jay Gruden has put this offense in for Cousins and has kind of catered to him. And look, if he's thrown for 9,000 yards the last 2 years, Sean McVay is gone, yes, but now Jay's going to call the plays this year. Mm-hmm. Gruden's going into year 4 of his 5 years. Is Cousins going to say, I don't know who my coach is going to be here, after next year? Why am I going to sign a deal? Or does that prompt the Skins to maybe give Jay Gruden a contract extension?
I mean,
that's in play. I think everything's in play.
It's just kicking the can down the road. Is that a good way to summarize everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think if I was Kirk right now, I would want to persuade management to start looking for a running game now as well, because Kirk's, as great as he is, and these stats were here to back him up, passing yards almost 5,000, 7 300-yard passing games. I don't want Kirk to have to totally win all of these games on his own with his arm, and I don't think the running game last year was sufficient enough with Fat Rob Kelly. I thought it was okay, but let's make Kirk look a little bit better and add some nice pieces around him in terms of the running game is concerned. I think the offensive line took strides last year, and we know that the wide receivers are there. Jordan Reed worries me with his longevity and playing the tight end position with all of his concussions. But if I'm Kirk now, I'm saying, all right, I'm taken care of. Help me out here now.
Well, Josh Doxson's a huge question mark as well. Is he going to be the guy that you drafted to be that big red zone threat, the tall receiver, that you can throw the fades to?
Yeah.
Or is he going to be an injury guy, for the rest of his career? We don't know about him either. So there's still a lot of question marks going in, and we haven't even started on the defense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
can they stop the run next year?
That's the one that's the side of the ball that needs the help the most. But and look, I've said it before. The Redskins like Kirk Cousins. Do they like him? I don't know. I still don't know the answer to that. I think if they did, we'd see a long-term deal perhaps locked up. But keep in mind, too, I know it's fresh in your mind and the way things ended, but had a chance at 2 home games last year to seal this team's deal and move to the playoffs. They didn't do it, and I think that is a big thing why this team is not completely sold on him.
All right, WTOP Sports will be all over it. George Wallace, Chris Cheon, thank you to you both.
Thank you.